Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Not feeling too clever today. We're a bit achy and my knees hurt. They don't hurt when I'm sitting down. So there's a hint as to how long this video might be. It's all the garden's fault. So be it. Right, things that have been. The car went in to have the electrics looked at on the door controls. That's basically the mirrors, the heated mirrors, all the windows and the door locks were basically off, no power. I took it in Wednesday morning. It didn't get looked at until Friday, but I didn't need the car. In fact, I won't need the car until, well, sometime next week possibly. So anyway, the guy did me a big favour because it was all work rather than parts. So it was like taking the door to bits to get at the wiring, checking all the joints, checking the connector pins and everything like that. And all he did was buy a few replacement pins for the connector, which cost a few pounds. But obviously there was quite a lot of work. And when I went to collect it, he said, I haven't done you an invoice because without parts it's just labour, and if I do you an invoice I will have to charge you VAT. So he said, if you pay cash, we'll forget the VAT, which is 20% in this bloody country. So basically I said, where's the nearest cash point? I went and got him the cash and handed it to him, and he got in his car and he was off home to get his bags to go off to the airport to go on holiday to New York, I think he said he was going. I hope they're getting better weather than this. This rain now looks like it's on and off probably for the rest of the week, certainly for a good part of it. So anyway, my car is now sorted out. That's good. I needed that fix to be able to take the car anywhere, because prior to getting that fixed the car wouldn't lock. So I'd have to leave it, like in public places, unlocked, which I'm not happy about doing. It's all right outside the house, it's behind security gates. There's nothing in it anyway, I don't leave things in the car. So that's the car sorted, that's good. What else did we do? We used our car. It cost a bit more than I was expecting, I must admit, but the guy said, you know, it was over 2 hours work, and at times there were two of them doing it. So I paid what he asked, no quibbles, and I'm happy. But on Saturday I went out to get some more plants to go with the ones I'd already got. These are sort of ground cover plants for parts of the gravel beds, and they were in the do-it-yourself place, B&Q. They were dirt cheap. The ones that were left weren't as good as the ones I've got before, but they were still okay. A pound of plant, you can't really complain, can you? And I thought, I'm out now, I've started the car. So I went up the garden centre and had a look round at the sort of things they had, and got some more plants. Now the original plants from B&Q were planted in the garden yesterday, which is why my knees and my back hurt. My knees more than anything, quite honestly. And on that front, I got reminded of an email that I have a vague memory of, but I'm not very good with emails. I tend to delete them in blocks, and sometimes in the middle of that block is one that I ought to have kept, and that's probably what's happened here. But some of you may know, Gail gave me some money to get a birthday tree when I went to a bonsai nursery, and I got a Japanese white pine bonsai with that birthday money. And Gail has kindly volunteered to get me a garden stool, which I chatted about in yesterday's video actually, but it's basically a foam seat with legs on that fold under, so it does fold up. You can just sort of lean it against something or hang it up. So it's a seat from one point of view, but if you turn it upside down, the seat has got foam on both sides. It becomes a kneeling stool, and the legs become handles to help lower your great heavy bulk down and heave it back up again. off the ground and save your knees on the concrete, or in this case gravel, which is not comfortable. So that's why the knees aren't too clever. So that may be forthcoming. I did buy some extra plants on Saturday which haven't been planted yet. So that will be on the gardening channel, obviously. We'll have a look at those individual plants, decide where they're going to go, and then get them in the ground. But I think I want to get them in the ground, basically, so that they've got longer to establish before the depths of winter sort of set in, just to get their roots going and everything. So what I might do with those is just plant a couple at a time. You know, like do a couple in the morning, a couple in the afternoon, and then some the next day. But at the moment, I'm not going out in the rain planting plants. That ain't happening, that's for sure. This rain is predictably quite heavy today as well. It's not that heavy at the moment, even though it sounds it, but that's just the plastic on the roof. So that's what's been going on. I haven't had my house inspection yet. I haven't even had the phone call. I suspect that will be this coming week. I haven't got any problems with that. I've made a start on the bamboo, but I haven't finished it, and I can't finish it because I'm not prepared to walk up steps on uneven ground without somebody stood on the bottom steps holding it flat and waving a large top-heavy hedge trimmer above my head. So that's not getting done until Hannah's down here. I can't find another way of doing that, so that'll have to wait. But the rest of the garden's tidy, the house is tidy. I'm not particularly worried about the inspection now. They can come and go. So be it. I will mention the wonky tree over at quite an angle that's dead. The bits that ain't dead are dying. Even the bits of green that were on it last time I filmed it, they've gone brown now. So it's dead, which means at some point it's going to go over. But you know, so be it. I've warned them, done my bit, as they say. Right, things to come then. Mick from Mick's Masdevallia is sending me a plant, possibly sometime this week. That'll be an unboxing video for the Orchid channel, that is good. I've also ordered a couple of plants from Spices Otic, which should be here during the week as well. That'll be another unboxing video to do on the Orchid channel. So 2 unboxing videos there, that'll be good. And a couple of new plants. That might lead to some repotting perhaps. The one from excuse me, the one from Mick won't need repotting because it's I believe it's a division, so it will have just been potted in new media, so I won't have to worry about that for a year or two. But the ones from Spices Otic might need to be repotted depending on what they're in. If they're relatively recent imports, they'll be in rubbish. That'll need changing. We should have to wait and see, won't we? Right, so some plants to come into the orchid room. The workload in this orchid room is virtually finished now. I've got a couple more mounts to sort out, one of which is taking keepies off and planting them, but actually trying to save the main plant as well, which means taking it off the mount in the native moss and probably putting it back on, maybe even on the same mount, I don't know, but putting it in the New Zealand moss, which plants seem to grow a lot better in, so we're doing that. As far as potted plants are concerned, there's nothing I want to repot now, not this time of year. So anything that was on my list as an orange, not red, in other words, get round to it as and when, is probably going to wait till spring now. So the videos that I do that are like the progress updates of work done, I've only done a couple, but there'll be one due at the end of this month, which looks at everything that had work done in, what will this be? This will be September, so it'll be June, won't it? Everything that I did in June. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, it's a 3-month rolling update, progress update sort of thing. So we'll do that. I've got my list of everything that I worked on in whenever it was, I've forgotten now. 3 months before September. I can't work calendars backwards, and I'm not rolling it forward 9 months. So we've got that to come towards the end of the month. Project Orchids, there's 2 left to do. That will be the end of videos 4 for the set of plants. When we get on to video 5 in October, those will be the last videos, yeah? Those will be like, summing up the year's worth. So they might be a little bit longer. I'm not including the clips like I have done in previous Project Orchids. It makes the video far too long, people aren't watching them. So I will discuss the progress of the plants, and each plant has its own playlist with its set of videos in, which was the idea. So if anybody wants to sort of have a look at the progress of an individual plant because it's of interest to them throughout the year, they can look at the playlist and see the set of videos. That was the idea. And anybody on the internet that hasn't even heard of my channel, that searches in on any of those plants, hopefully will find that playlist and find some useful information, hopefully. So that's the Project Orchids, heading towards a close. Sorry, I thought that's unusual. I thought I could see a mealybug on that dendrobium. It's actually a little hole in the leaf. So the light shining through, making it white, it looked like a mealybug. Cool. I do have a nobly up the back there that's got some buds on, as the summer comes to an end. Stupid thing. How many there are? There are some. Yeah, there's enough to make a little bit of a show. Not much, but some. So that's that. What else will I be filming? I wanted to go and visit a nice garden, but I should have got on and done it while the weather was there. Unfortunately, when the weather was there, it was also a heat wave. But I will try and fit that in. It will be on the gardening channel, but it may well be of interest to people here, so I would always mention that that's happened. Basically a garden, it's a woodland garden. It's called Compton Acres. It's got an Italian garden as part of it. It's also got a Japanese garden as part of it, which is the bit I'm really going to see. And some woodland walks and things like that. But because I didn't get to go back in the heat wave, and I won't be going in the rain, it's going to get delayed. And it's going to be delayed long enough now that when I go there should be autumn colours. Because certainly there's a lot of acers in around the Japanese garden. Well, there would be, wouldn't there? So we should perhaps wait for the autumn colours and go then. It might make it a bit more interesting. So that's that. Orchid shows. Bournemouth Orchid Society show is right at the end of September. It's the last Saturday in September. I think it's about the 28th, 29th, something like that. That's going to come round relatively quickly. So there's that to come. I might come home with a plant, you never know. So there's that. And the day after is the Heathrow Bonsai show, which is the biggest show in the country, basically, or one of two. But it's the one that's closest to me and pretty easy to get to, and plenty of parking. So that'll be two consecutive days. And then 2 weeks after that is the Wessex Orchid Society show on the Saturday. And the day after, on the Sunday, I'll be going to Burnham's for the Devon Orchid Society show and a visit to Burnham's, probably the last one for the year, so combine the two. So again, like 37 buses. Nothing happens for ages, and then it all happens at once. And in between those dates, Anna will be down. So she doesn't want to come to either of the shows, but she's going to come down, I believe, the weekend in between. And then she'll come down end of October, for a weekend near my birthday, which is towards the end of October. So getting older all the time. Well, it don't stop or go backwards, does it? It only goes forwards to an inevitable end at some point. We all got to get there someday. like it or not. But what we shouldn't be doing is hurrying it along. Oh, right, I'm starting to get, I'm starting to fidget because my knee hurts. I need to sit down again. So I've got a couple of plants to show you. Not many, but this is part of the reason why I'm getting a Masdevallia from Mick. Is my Masdevallias are now growing quite nicely. I think anybody who grows Masdevallias, that's quite a nice plant, isn't it? Got pretty clean leaves on there. There's not many. There's a marked one here. Actually, the marks are underneath. They're not even on the surface. And it's growing. It's got new growths coming out. And it's got 3 spikes, one of which has just recently opened. Lovely colour, lovely deep purple colour. So my Masdevallias seem to be doing okay. And like I've always said, if you find something that's working well, then you can go mad. Don't go mad and then find out it doesn't do very well. That's back to front. So that's that one. Back where it came from. So those spikes are close enough together that they should all 3 should be open at the same time. We would hope. Nothing over here that's changed, but we can confirm, I believe, that Blackjack has opened fully now. These are lovely blooms, lovely deep rich burgundy colour, and the second bud, I believe, is going to progress and actually open, and they're going to point in opposite directions. Now I don't know whether that's what it's supposed to do and it just didn't have 2 on it before and it should have had, I don't know, but I do believe the other bud's going to do it as well, because down in here definitely looks like a second bud. So maybe it does produce 2 at a time. Anyway, that's nice. It will extend the blooming if nothing else. That's that. Nothing much else over here. I'll show you this one. This has got to come down lower so that I can see it, because it's up in the sky at the moment because it's so tall. But it's a lovely dancing lady type oncidium, but with bigger flowers than most. That's Oncidium honeybee. So these flowers are a reasonable size. Dancing lady types, there are, that's a generic term basically for several hybrids and possibly 1 or 2 species, I'm not sure. But it's just based on the fact that the basic thing looks a bit like a lady with a big frilly dress on. That's where it gets its nickname from. But this is growing on quite nicely. And as I said, it needs to be brought down where it can be part of the grow room instead of heading towards the roof, which is what it's doing now. Strange plant, it's got virtually no roots on it. The bulbs are shriveled, and yet it's produced that spike from somewhere. Strange. Right, there's not much else going on at the moment, sort of nothing really new. There's a dendrobium up the back there that's, actually I should be able to get that out. You get a dendrobium that you've had a bit of, for a bit of time, and then it decides to put up a new growth that just defies all logic and still hasn't bloomed. This is Dendrobium Aussie's Sweetness crossed with Tapiniense, so it's a cross with a species. It's never bloomed for me, but look at the 2 new growths. They are infinitely better than anything before. There's one here, and then this one's even bigger around here, and this one hasn't even fully opened its leaves yet. But if I can show you, down inside that growth, that definitely looks like we might be going to get some blooms and finally find out what the hell this looks like. Because I haven't got a clue. I've deliberately not looked up either the species or the hybrid, deliberately kept myself away from it, but I think we might get some blooms this time round. There's certainly strength in that plant. I mean, it's got an absolute pot full of roots, many of which have escaped through the holes. But yeah, that's the two new growths on there in comparison with what was there before are quite big. So there's strength there now. Maybe we'll get the blooms. It's certainly not short of light. It's up on my top shelf that's not nearest the roof. So it's my lowest top shelf. That's my highest top shelf up there, and then there's another one here, and then another one there. They're all different heights, so they're all different distances from the roof. This being the highest up here, which is fundamentally the cattleya shelf, and the dendrobium that's up there is up there because I can't put it anywhere else at the moment because it hangs down. And it was put up there to be able to see the blooms from lower down, because that's where they look the best. That's Hercogloster. So, and every time we do everything in bloom on the 8th, we get to the Restrepias, there aren't any. Well, this one must have heard me, because it's decided to have a little go. So we've got quite a few blooms on here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open and 2 about to open, which is Restrepia's go. That's actually quite a few blooms. It's not a big plant, not by any means. It will be impossible for me to get a real close-up holding it by hand because everything wobbles around too much. But very attractive blooms, lovely patterns. I'll touch it and see if I can get it to focus, but I doubt if it will. It's just moving too much. No, it's not going to have it. Anyway, out of my Restrepias, that's the only one with some blooms on, but it's got quite a few, hasn't it? That's good stuff. None of the others are showing any signs at the moment. There aren't any new buds or anything coming on yet. Yes, so we've had a chat about things to come in the immediate future and heading out into the distance. The grow lights, I've decided I am going to do the grow lights. I'm still not quite sure how yet, but the problem's the wiring. It's wiring them in so that they can work. My plan is to try and get one. You know, I said I've got 3 shelves, high, medium and low. Obviously a grow light needs to go above a shelf, so I'm looking at using that low shelf, which is the largest of the 3. So there's much more room on that shelf, but the light will need to go up virtually at roof height. And at the moment I have no idea how I'm going to fix it up there in such a way that it can't possibly fall down. And then obviously I've got to get power to it somehow, so I've got to have some sort of cable running around to get there. That's one, and then the other grow light I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with yet, but I will have 2 on the go. The fact that I'm going to have power running round to that far corner, if I put the larger plants on that shelf, then the other light could actually go up there somewhere. I'll think about it, as I said. I think the time I will be doing this will be the first week in October, which is when we've dropped down below 12 hours. So the idea will be to put the lights on as the light level starts to drop in the afternoon, early evening. The lights go on to extend that day to 12 hours and maintain 12 hours. I'm not going to try and maintain 13 or 14. That's growing season hours. Yeah, so I want to maintain the general day length of later summer or spring, that part of the year, not midsummer. And I will be doing it manually, certainly initially, because I'll probably, like say, put the lights on for say an hour for the first week and then 2 hours for the second week, and do that sort of thing. And I'm here most of the time, if you see what I mean. And if for some reason I'm not here on any given day, then the lights might not turn on that day. And I might get a timer. I haven't made my mind up about the timer yet. I'm not fussed on timers, I must admit. Especially like if it was a really dull day, I might turn the lights on earlier in the afternoon, you know, to brighten up more of the day. You can't allow for all those sort of things on timers, so we shall see. So that's that. And it's an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. It's going to take a bit of plant selecting, you know, which ones do I want under the lights. And primarily at this end of the season, the reason for the lights is to keep things growing longer. So therein lies the selection criteria. All of the cooler growing stuff, Masdevallias, Restrepias, all that sort of stuff, they're not having anything to do with lights. They never have, and I don't believe they need it because they're doing okay. They should be fine. It's things that are growing canes or pseudo-bulbs that haven't matured them yet, and they should have done. So by extending the growing season, it gives them a chance to mature and get up to full size. And then they can have some winter, yeah? And then we will reintroduce the lights again in late winter, early spring to induce buds and growths earlier in the season than has happened the last 2 years. So that's the purpose of the lights. So it's very specific, and therefore we'll need 2 sets of plants. They might not be the same set of plants. The ones that I want to keep growing as long as possible might not be the ones that need the earlier light in the spring. Might not be the same set. We shall see. So that's still to come. And as I said, I've still got to work out. I've got to get power around into that corner. See, now there are a set of hooks along the roof there, the same as there is here, although most of those have fallen off. Where's the camera? I'll take the camera off for the last couple of minutes. Seasick time. Sorry about that. I managed to hit the stop recording button by accident as I was grabbing hold of the camera. Yes, there's a row of hooks along there, right from the corner, at reasonable points going along. I can hang a wire on those hooks and then drop it down here and bring it round to where the power actually is. You know, so it is possible. It is possible. And if I get power into that corner, that allows me to have the big light up there, providing I can work out a way of fixing it. And that I have yet to do. One idea is a piece of batten. If I hold the camera right up in the air, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. If you look at where the roof meets the sides, there's a gap. There's a ledge. You see what I'm getting at? So I could actually put a piece of batten from there to there and strap the light to it. That way it's fixed. It's not on anything wobbly or movable, it's on something that's fixed and strong enough to take the weight of the light without any worries about it breaking and falling down. So that's probably how I'll fix that one. The other one I thought perhaps could go up here onto that shelf, but that's not really utilising it very well because that's a tiny little shelf. So I'll have a think. Again, tiny little shelf, not worth having a light, can't get enough plants on there. That shelf would be too close to the light, so can't do it there. But we could do it here and just change the plants round. If you think about, if I'm going to have a light, then I'm going to have a set of plants all over there, and all of the plants that are all over there can go in the places where those other plants have come from. Just have them in a different place for the winter. This is all my cooler, shadier stuff over here. You know, this is the Odonts, Restrepias, Masdevallias, yeah? It's all that sort of stuff. Miltoniopsis that are just about hanging in there, but, you know. So where they go doesn't matter that much. Some of those could come over here on some of these lower shelves. I mean, there's a shelf going begging there. It's just got that tray on it at the moment. Although I think that's where the cymbidiums are going to go. We've got to get them in at some point as well. Anyway, so that's the idea with the lights. The big LED square. Oh. Do you know, I heard a mother once at a nursery school when I'd gone to pick up mine, and there was a storm going overhead, and some of the kids were pretty frightened. And one stupid mother, well, I didn't say anything, it's none of my business how people bring their kids up, but their child was quite frightened of the thunder. And she said, "Don't worry, it's God moving his furniture around." That's got implications. You know, it's innocent enough just as you say it, but, you know, there's more going on behind that flipping statement. But, you know, from a child's point of view, I suppose that makes it less frightening, perhaps. We shall see. Anyway, that's it for today. I don't know how long this is, not too long. Where are we? Oh, of course I've had a break, haven't I, where I hit the button by mistake. So I don't know how long it is, but however long it is, it's coming to a close. So thanks to everybody who supports the channels. There's an S on the end now, because there's quite a few people are supporting all three, the bonsai, the gardening and the orchid channel. And I'm eternally grateful for people who are doing that, especially the gardening channel at the moment. The bonsai channel has got to where I wanted it. It will very, very, very slowly grow as time goes on, and that's all I can expect from it. So that's that one sorted, basically. The gardening channel, I still want to get up to these magic numbers and get it monetized, and try and draw people in from other walks of life, not necessarily from the other two channels, if you see what I mean. And on that front, we've gone over 400 subscribers now. It's about 412, I think, last time I looked, and I need 500. So that's going to get there in the not too distant future. The watch time hours, which is the difficult bit, has clicked over 1,000. So we've now got a third of what we need. So, you know, less than 2,000 to go. That sounds a lot better than 2,500 to go, doesn't it? Yeah? So, yeah, that's where we are with that channel, which is good stuff. And thanks to everybody who's supporting. God, I nearly had a heart failure. I had a look at my memberships for the Orchid channel, and I'd lost one. And then I remember somebody saying that they were going to switch from being a member of YouTube to actually becoming a patron, which is actually better for me, because the same amount donated, I get quite a bit more of it on the Patreon site than I do from YouTube. YouTube take 30-something%, which is a lot, you know, whereas the Patreon site don't take anywhere near that amount. I think it's half, so which leaves more for me, you know. So yeah. So anyway, thanks to everybody who supports the channels, you know, even if it's only watching the videos and leaving a comment now and again. Do the old thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed, that's also useful. Anything that looks like the channel is on the up, YouTube, you know, are watching, basically. And we can encourage them to encourage the channel by making the channel seem a positive place for people. So yeah, I'll just give you a clue as to the sort of things that do harm to the channel that you wouldn't necessarily know about. Starting to watch a video and within the first 10-20 seconds changing your mind and watching something else. That's not good for the channel you've walked away from, you know. YouTube see that as a downer. So, you know, if you're gonna watch a video, it would pay to watch it. Even if you can't spend the time sitting there physically watching it, you can at least let it play. That does more good than most other things, is starting to watch a video and seeing it all the way through. And a big plus is then going on to watch another video from the same channel. YouTube love that. They see that as a big plus. So even if you're not going to watch that second video, if you start watching it and get up to 30 seconds plus, that counts as a watch, basically. Yeah. So, you know, we can play the game with YouTube. We can, you know, play the game, basically. It is a game, you know. YouTube has got its algorithms that it works on, and we work within them. But you can't fiddle them to any great extent anymore like you used to be able to. I mean, I could, my gardening channel, I've got 1,000 views now. I need 3,000. I could buy 2,000 views. They'd be false. And in my view, it would be cheating. Yeah? So I don't, you know, I wouldn't dream of doing that sort of thing. I'm quite happy to put the work in. Hello. Moved on to the other bedroom now, just shifting the wardrobe. Anyway, they did say there might be some thunder and lightning. Hang on, am I standing near anything metal? Nope, it's all plastic. That's all right then. I'm going to end on a joke. Now, the jokes that I'm going to do from now on will be infrequent, and they are mainly going to be Jethro jokes, who was an English comedian from down in Cornwall. A lot of people had trouble understanding him because of his thick West Country accent. He had a style all of his own, passed away a while ago, and he's one of my favourite comedians, so I will draw on his thing. So this is Jethro now. I got up in the morning, I went out to get the milk in off the front doorstep. There's a gorilla in my tree, in the front garden. It's a great gorilla, sat in the tree. In the tree. In my garden, gorilla. So anyway, I thought, what am I going to do? I'll phone the zoo. So I phoned up the zoo, got through and said, there's a gorilla in my tree in the garden. And the lady said, oh no, he's got out again. We'll send somebody round. What's the address? Anyway, very quick, a man came round with a van. Big van, like a big cage thing. He got out, knocked on the door. Come to get the gorilla. He's got a great big Alsatian on a lead and a shotgun. He gives the shotgun to me, walks over to the tree with the dog, and I said to him, what's the dog for then? And he said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb up the tree. The dog's trained, yeah? So he said, trained dog. I'm going to climb up the tree and shake it until the gorilla falls down. And the dog's been trained to run up, grab the gorilla by the whatnots and keep hold of him until he is rendered unconscious. And then we'll load him up in the van and we'll take him back to the zoo. Oh, right. What's the shotgun for then? Why have I got the shotgun? And he said, that's in case I fall out the tree, you shoot the dog. See you next time. I think it means it when they said heavy rain. I couldn't have filmed in this. It's bouncing off the roof over there. Oh well, it'll water in my plants nicely and save me watering anything for at least a day or two. It's getting quite deep out there. There's an inch of water there. Bit of a change from the heat wave. We've had lightning and more thunder, so oh well. If you want a green and pleasant land, then you need rain. Do with it in less quantities all at once though. Still, that's how it's got to be. Can't control the weather. Noisy though, isn't it? I'm trying to process my video in there. I'm just adding this bit on. That's lightning. You saw it. And I'm trying to play back the video and I can't hear it. so much noise going on, I can't hear the laptop at all. And I've turned the volume up. All good stuff. I think the storm's literally going overhead at the moment. You've got the lightning and the thunder almost together, then the storm's passing overhead. Certainly giving everything a nice drink. See you next time. Right, you lucky people get 2 bits on the end today. I forgot to say, with the unboxing, Carol is possibly getting me some more plants from her garden to come across, but Wales has been getting this sort of weather for a while now, and it's predicted to go on for some time. So if you're listening, Carol, you're not to go out in weather like this digging stuff up for me. Wait till the weather is sensible. You don't want people putting themselves out to that extent. I wouldn't go out there. But yeah, so there might be some plants coming from Carol in the future. I won't say in the near future, because we've got potentially a week of bad weather now. You can't go out doing gardening in weather like this. It's just not on. So, but yeah, that'll be another unboxing down the way, and that'll be plants for this area. So filling in gaps and stuff like that. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that, since Carol will have thought I completely forgot her. I hadn't. It's just the rain reminded me. Right. See you next time again.